Hey guys, it's Kat. Welcome to a brand new Chit Chat Get Ready With Me video. Today we're going to do a yellow summer look while I talk about ghosts. And randomly, I was like dreaming about this makeup look. I really want to do something yellow and bright and bold and beautiful for summer. So that's what today's makeup look is going to be out. And let me tell you about these ghost stories, girl. So my grandmother, if you haven't been on my channel for a while or followed me on Instagram, like up close and personal a lot, you may know that my grandmother, or may not know, I have a 90-year-old grandmother who is full-fledged Japanese, went through the internment camps, but she was born in the US, and she's Buddhist. Not that that matters or religion really matters on this channel, but that plays into these stories about my grandmother could like detect ghosts. I'm not kidding you. If you don't believe in ghosts, haven't seen ghosts, but I've experienced them. We've like touched base with each other. We high-fived. We haven't really seen each other, but some people either believe ghosts or they don't, or they're somewhere in the middle. And my grandma is smack dab, like was in the middle, and now she's like on that side of the Twilight Zone where we believe in ghosts with me. Well, my grandmother goes grocery shopping and me and my mom, we decide to take her with us if she has to buy, you know, those big cases of water bottles. So whenever she has to buy those, me or my mom, we take her because she should not be lifting water bottles, like huge cases of them, when she's a 9-year-old woman who has arthritis and she's 4'8" with a little cute afro. Not that that matters, but you know, we just want to like help her out. That's why we go with her. Well, my mother, she was helping my grandma out really recently one day with the water bottles, and before they went to the grocery store, my mom was at my grandma's house. She wanted to get a water, but she had to get some from my grandma's closet where she kept the water bottles before she put them in the fridge. That was cool. She went and got it, and this closet door has a lock on it. My mother knows that my grandma always keeps that door locked, so she locked it when she got the water bottles out to put in the fridge. She made sure she locked it, right? And they go to the grocery store, come back to put more water bottles in that closet, and the closet door was wide open. My mom is 101% sure she closed and locked that door. How creepy is that? And not only was this closet door open, but there was something obstructing the door. It wasn't just open, like the wind didn't just knock it open because she locked it, but there was a bowling ball bag in front of the doorway, like the door, stopping it. And that bowling ball bag had a bowling ball in it, because you know whose bowling ball and bowling ball bag it was? It was my dead grandfather's. Yes, my grandma's husband who died 10 years ago. And it's so weird that my mom, my grandpa's oldest daughter, was there to witness this. And I know it's a random event, but it's unexplained, and it's just so weird. By the way, the foundation I'm using today is kind of ghostly because it's something I've never tried before. It just showed up here. No, I'm just kidding. I bought it. But it's the Milani Conceal Perfect Foundation, and this was on sale at Walgreens for like half price, but they only had certain colors on sale, and I got light natural. So we will see how this works. I haven't used it that much. I really like the coverage of this foundation though, because I've got an evil little thing right here of a pimple. Not fun. And what else I've been loving lately is the NYX HD Studio Concealer. It's $5. Get your hands on it. It dries really fast though, so I only do one eye at a time. I used this in my last video of my Tinkerbell makeup, and this concealer is so underrated, and I don't see it that much on YouTube, but I did hear about it from Raw Beauty Christy on YouTube, and it's just beautiful. It blends so well as long as you blend it out fast. So like I said in this video, my grandma, she has like ghosts follow her, and she's Buddhist, like I said, and she has this little shrine, this little wooden box in her bedroom where she leaves gifts to her dead loved ones, and the gifts involve food, and I have a feeling she like eats little treats she leaves, like she leaves my grandpa's favorite candies and little foods there, especially on holidays, and I think it's so cute. But she has some creepy things going on in her life. Like recently she had, I know it was a fever. I don't know if she had like heat stroke or what, but she decided not to tell us that she was sick, and she was at home alone. And she had such a bad fever that my grandmother passed out in her bedroom, and she fell asleep And when my grandma fell asleep, she didn't know how long she was asleep for, but she remembered waking up to someone nudging her, and she swears that it was her dead husband, my late grandpa, who was waking her up to save her, because she thinks she passed out, and if she didn't fall asleep, she would have gotten even more sick, which is odd. But I believe her. My grandmother, she's the type of person who wouldn't really lie or tell a joke or over-exaggerate just for a story. That's not my grandma. So that was an interesting thing that happened. Look how beautiful this concealer is. I love it. Let's talk about more creepy ghost stories, specifically with my grandma. If I run out of grandma ghost stories, I'll talk about ones I've experienced that I'm sure I've told in videos, but we're just gonna focus on the grandma, my sweet 90-year-old grandmother. My grandmother was also, cool fact, she knows 8 different languages, 7 or 8 different languages. She worked at a fish cannery, and she could just learn language by hearing different people, because there were so many different variations of culture and people at the fish cannery she worked at, like on a company line packing fish into cans. So she's like a super smart woman, of course, if you could do that. And my grandmother was one of 11 children. Yes, 11. A majority of them died off before they hit later adulthood, because a lot of them had this rare virus. I am not kidding you, this is not an over-exaggeration, where their muscles would deteriorate and they're just left with like skin, bones, and just like a beating heart. And the heart is like the biggest muscle in the body, of course. So once their muscles on the rest of their body deteriorated, their heart stopped. And my grandma and her sister were like one of the only ones out of 11 children that did not get this rare disease. So when my mother and father decided to have children, I was their first child, they had to go through all these tests at the doctors just to make sure that my mother's side of the family did not carry over this incredibly deadly virus of like heart failure and all types of muscle deterioration, so that I wouldn't get it. So my parents were scared to have kids. They didn't have children, start a family until they were 38, and they had their last child when they were 41. So a fun fact, I'm blessed. I'm kidding. But yeah, my parents didn't know if they were gonna start to have a kid with me. I'm an odd one. But back to my grandmother, one of her sisters' husband passed away, sadly. I don't remember how he passed away. I just remember he passed away. And my grandmother, who lived in her house at the time, she lived in the ghetto. So her sister's husband, like I said, passed away. She was dead asleep, but something woke her up, and she saw something when she woke up. Like I told you before, my grandma's not the one to over-exaggerate, but she woke up from a deep sleep and she saw a man, and he had a white robe on, but it wasn't her husband. It wasn't my grandfather, who was alive and in her home at the time. It was this man who was walking away from her. She saw the back of his head in a robe, so she followed him to a room. And when he turned around, it was the face of her sister's dead husband, who just died like 2 days before. And she said like parts of him, it was like orbish, like his face, and it wasn't like his full face. It was like an orb with like his face in it, and it really freaked her out. So yeah, my grandma is connected to the other side because she knows 7 languages and she is my superhero. You know, she gets along with everybody. She would not exaggerate a thing. That's the thing about these that makes it creepier. And then that doesn't stop there. My grandpa's cousin, who my grandma was close to, he died. And the next few days, she saw another white orb in her house. This white orb had the face of that dead person in it. So my grandmother, I don't know how she conjures up these orbs. I don't know what type of crazy animation movie she comes from. My grandma sounds like she's literally part of a Hayao Miyazaki animated film. She's adorable, very stereotypical Japanese. She is super hilarious, yet she leads an extraordinary life. I love her to death. She loves to gamble. I go to the casinos and gamble with my grandma because I'm of age to gamble with her. And she doesn't really get drunk, and she swears she's so cute. If you guys, I wish I could put her on camera, because my grandma, if she's sick with a cold or a flu, she won't take medicine. She takes shots of whiskey, like straight up hard whiskey, and she swears that's what makes her feel better, but you know, she's up there getting tipsy, and that's what she probably mistakes of her feeling better, and it's not really medicine, it's just her, you know, feeling better from the whiskey. The thing about eyebrows is it looks cute, and then you go like this with the spoolie, and then it's like all these spots you miss when you lift the hairs up, and you're like, why? All of my brow pencils, this is the second brow pencil this week. Hear that? That means it's dead. It's ended with. Its life is over. I need to get new brow pencils. This is the second one, and I have like, I usually have backups, but I don't this time. Let me stop complaining about my first world problems in my makeup life and talk about my sweet, precious grandmother and her ghostly experiences. Let's get this Ofra highlighter first with this fan brush, because I see so many Instagram gurus use this as with their highlight, and I'm like, I want to be part of your world. That was a terrible singing, I'm sorry, but I want to be cool. Not really. I don't care, but I just really wanted this brush. Do you ever like want something that everybody else has? It's like trendy, and you like, why are you being like this? Why do you want something that's trendy that everybody has? Like, this is not gonna make you cool. And I'm like, I know, I'm never gonna be cool, but I just want this trendy item that everyone has, AKA this fan brush. I'm gonna use this white highlighter. I did the gold, now I'm gonna use the, girl, what? Look at that. The Everglow highlighter, Nikki Tutorials highlighter from Ofra is like, I swear it descended from the heavens and came into our lives. Like, how did they make this? Did they crush real unicorn horns to make the glow glitter of this? Because it's magical beyond belief. Does anyone remember that show Beyond Belief that was about ghost stories? And there was like, one of the stories was fake and the other ones were real, and you had to guess which one was fake and real, and it was like real life ghost stories. That used to be my favorite thing. I didn't want to stay home to ditch school just because like I was a bad student and I hated school, because I loved art class and PE, and lunch was my favorite, best subject I was good at. But I wanted to stay home to watch stuff like that because they had daytime TV of Maury and ghost stories. That's what I wanted. Nothing else. With some bagel bites. Pizza bagel bites. Enough glowing. Let's get on with the eyeshadow look. I'm going to use these shadow shields today because I don't want to mess up this foundation and this beautiful concealer. There we go. Don't I look beautiful? Speaking of grandmas and ghosts, let's use this honeycomb yellow color from my Visart palette. That's way too expensive for this yellow look. But grandmas and ghosts. My grandmother had a hairdresser when she lived in the ghetto. There's a song, I think it's by Elvis, called In the Ghetto. That's why I keep singing like that. Anyways, she went to a hairdresser that was her friend. And my grandmother had this really weird feeling overcoming her of emotions when she was getting her hair done. If you know Asian families, they don't like to feel emotions sometimes. I don't know how to say this in politest way possible. Asian families, like, let's just say one time I accidentally hugged my grandmother and she did not like it. They just don't, like, they're not really huggy people, or you rarely see Asians cry unless it's in movies or something. So she was getting emotional though, and she smelled like this overwhelming sensation of the flower gardenias. And the reason why my grandma knew it was gardenias, because my grandma is a classy lady who still wears her blue eyeshadow, brows, mascara, and lipstick, and she wears gardenia scented perfume. It's one of her all-time favorite perfumes. My grandma's a perfume collector. She has matching coordinated outfits with every perfume. She's amazing. But she smelled these gardenia flowers, and it smelled like her perfume, but she didn't put that perfume on that day. And she asked the ladies who were doing her hair, do you smell gardenia flowers? And they didn't. And my grandmother was getting emotional smelling these flowers, and she knew something was wrong, and she stared at her hairdresser friend's telephone because she had a feeling that the phone was gonna go off, and the phone went off, and there was some sad news at the other end. The hairdresser niece just passed away, And you know what the hairdresser's niece had to do with those flowers? The hairdresser's niece's favorite flower was gardenia, and she was crying. And she remembered how my grandmother said, "Do you smell gardenias?" And that was the little girl's favorite flower, the one who just passed away. My grandma smelled like, she felt her presence, she said, and that's why she's getting emotional, and she saw the phone and smelled the gardenias. My grandmother, they should write a book about her, I swear. I'm trying to like make this go up here. I'm trying to make it look like there's pollen in around my eyes. So I'm gonna tap it on with my finger. And oh my gosh, let me tell you about this one time. My friend Shane got this app that he swears works, and it shows like hotspots of spirits trying to connect with you around you, and you ask them questions like, is there someone trying to connect with me right now? And the app goes yes, and it has these words that pop up that are in relation, supposed to be in relation to what the spirits are trying to tell you. So I believe this app because he used to live in a haunted house, like legit haunted. And the app would go nuts. And like one time we were in his garage and there was like all these circles on the app. It was like a radar thing, and it would show like circles where the spirits were around us, and there was all these circles in like a perfect circle around us, and it said cult and then disappeared. It scared me to death. And I was telling my grandma about this app. She doesn't really have a smartphone. She doesn't have a smartphone at all. She doesn't understand apps, but she didn't believe me that it did like detected ghosts, even though all this crazy stuff happens to my grandma, and she of course believes in ghosts. So I was like, okay grandma, if you don't believe me, there's a spirit by the kitchen sink. She's like, oh, I don't believe you. I don't think that's real and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then she was pouring tea, and I had the app on that was gonna tell you like words that mean something. And while my mom was pouring my grandma tea, it said tea, and it freaked my grandma out, and she started believing. I feel like putting more dark brown like under here because I wanted to have that honeycomb effect right here. So this is gonna be a little odd. Fake freckles is really popular on Instagram everywhere, and I love doing fake freckles. I have some freckles myself, so I am doing my fake freckles with some alcohol paint. I feel like that is the most realistic looking freckle. Another thing my grandma swears that my deceased grandpa, her husband's haunting her with, is my grandmother to like moisturize her face at night and to get rid of her makeup, because my grandma's fabulous, she still wears makeup. She uses cold cream, and she swears that the cold cream's going away faster, being used up faster than she actually uses it. So she swears my grandpa is using her cold cream, because sometimes my grandpa would massage his face with cold cream and take it from my grandma, even though it wasn't his. Anyone who knows my family loves my grandma. She's the best. She'll cook anything for anyone. She's not rich, but she gives so much to people and cooks them food and all types of stuff. She's really active in her community and friends, and she's 90 years old and still drives, and she still takes her friends out to lunch and brunch and stuff. I feel like doing my waterline white. I just don't like the flesh tone it is. Another thing that happened in my, I don't know if I've told this in videos, I'm sure I have, and I'd say it again, some more ghost stories that's happened to me personally. When I lived with my parents, I don't know how old the house was, but our neighbors' parents and grandparents lived in it before I did. And so I don't know how old it was. I have a feeling they built it too. But girl, some creepy things are happening in that house. When I lived there, I remember when I was 8 years old specifically, I got up randomly in the middle of the night, and I usually slept through the night by myself pretty well. But I got up for some reason because I heard noises, and I looked over. My bed was facing the hallway, and in the hallway, when you face the hallway from my bed, you could perfectly see these cupboard doors. In front of these cupboard doors was a girl. And I'm the only girl in that family other than my mother. This girl was like a young girl, and she was wearing Victorian white dress, and she was like almost see-through, and she's holding an umbrella, and I remember it so well. I'm putting in this Pat McGrath gold shadow that's so expensive. It looks like real gold, like just in the center part of the yellow to make it pop. Another weird creepy thing that happened to my mother, who helps watch my grandma in our house when we lived together, is my mom would work Monday through Friday, and she'd have to wake up fairly early to go to work. And my dad would work really early. He'd leave the house at like 4 o'clock to work on construction and stuff. And my mom one weekend, it was like a Saturday, my dad went like on a hike with his friends early. So my mom was home alone, and she heard someone whispering in her ear, a man, saying, "Don't you have to get up for work on a Saturday?" And it wasn't my dad because he wasn't home. So that creeped us all out. And she told me that and I freaked out. And just weird things would happen in the house. Like in my room sometimes it would feel like someone from the closet was looking at you. There would be no one there. And I'd hear someone say my name. My mom did this thing since I was a kid where she'd tap her fingers lightly on the door and call me when it was ready for me to wake up and get ready to go to school. And I'd hear that. But my mom said she never did it when sometimes I heard it, and she said, no, that wasn't me. And it freaked me out because I heard her, but it wasn't her. It was almost like a ghost like trying to mimic our family. And I kid you not, like crazy things would happen. We'd hear the back door, sliding door like open and slam shut by itself when no one else was on that side of the house. We would see like signs and frames fall. I would see them fly from the wall and fall straight to the middle of the floor. I haven't experienced, whenever I visit there, many things. And I wonder if ghosts feed off of certain people, because when I usually go there now, I go with my boyfriend, and my boyfriend does not believe in ghosts. But I do, and I feel like since am more open to ghosts and hearing what they have to say, that they try to keep in contact with me, but I don't see them that often, only when I was really little. And there's this theory I've heard that if you almost die at some point in your life, I almost drowned when I was a kid in a lake, and I don't know who saved me or what saved me. I remember being pulled to the shore and almost drowning and vomiting up water, and no one else was there to save me. I don't know who pulled me out of water. None of my family or friends who was camping with me knew who did it, but that was just crazy. And I remember I thought I was literally gonna die falling to the bottom of this lake, but thanks to whoever or whatever saved me that day. But I've heard that people who've almost been in near-death experiences are more susceptible and open their spirits to interacting with ghosts in their life. But that's just what I've heard. It's crazy. And my grandmother one time, she said she almost died from heat stroke because she was in a hot shower room, and she didn't know that her sister or someone put on the heater while she was in the shower. So the steam of the shower, the heater, she was passing out, and someone opened the door for her. I think it was her sister opened the door finally. So she lived, but she thought she was gonna die. She thought she saw like the light to, I guess, heaven. And I'm gonna get some black eyeliner just to connect this thick band on these gorgeous lashes from Voss to the inner corner, so it doesn't look like skin to black, thick, you know, eyelash band that connects a little bit. I mean, we all know I didn't grow these lashes myself, unfortunately. I'm Asian, we don't get blessed with many eyelashes naturally. I'm gonna get some of this gold with my finger to right here. More. I'm gonna get my favorite NARS gloss. This is in Wonder. It's so gorgeous. It has like sparkle in it. It's just like the right amount of orange too. It's not like, wow, it almost looks like you just like drank some Tang or had like an orange popsicle in the summer and it stained your lips with some glitter on it. Okay, now let's fluff up the hair and get ready to show you the finished final look. So that is our finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me talking about ghost stories and doing this makeup. I love the honey yellow with this orange glossy glittery lip. I feel like this screams like summer, like sun-kissed, beautiful freckly skin. You don't need to wear like a full face of foundation for this makeup or at all this summer. It's just fun to play with colors with makeup. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and sticking around. Leave me a comment down below if you believe in ghosts or if you have ghost stories yourself. If you're not a believer, that's totally fine. I may sound crazy to some people, but I love listening to spooky, scary stories like that and everything. I hope you guys enjoyed. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, everywhere, Snapchat. I'm on there every day. I'm addicted. You can subscribe for more videos like this and crazy makeup transformations of like creatures and characters. So I will see you guys in another one of those videos, and I love you all. Bye!